Hello students. By this time, you must have finished reading the entire syllabus. You must have appeared for your terminal examinations as well as prelims. This is a time for you to build your courage and identify those areas that need a lot of attention. Here are a few instructions related to paper presentation. This will surely help you enhance your performance in history and political science. Let us begin with the weightage of the chapters in history. In history, we have got 4 units. Unit 1, that is imperialism, comprises of 3 chapters, chapter 1A, 1B, 1C. The marks allotted to this particular unit is 6 marks and marks with options is 9. Unit 2, that is Age of Conflicts, 20th century Age of Conflicts, comprises of 5 chapters. The total marks allotted to this particular unit is 12 and the marks with options is 17. Unit 3, Emancipation of Asia and Africa, comprises of 2 chapters, chapter 3A, 3B, and it carries 4 marks. Marks with options is 5. Unit 4, World after World War II, comprises of 3 chapters, 4A, 4B, 4C. It carries 6 marks and marks with options is 8. Now let's move on to the paper pattern. History and political science paper is of 50 marks. The written paper is of 40 marks and 10 marks have been given for internal assessment. The time allotted for writing the paper is 2 hours. The very first question is based on objectives. Question number 1A is complete the following statements by choosing appropriate alternatives from those given in the brackets. It carries 3 marks. You have to write the complete sentence, underline the blanks, and you have to avoid cancellations as far as possible. Remember students, the first impression is not the last but the lasting impression. So do not attempt this question in haste. In case if you have written a wrong answer, you have to cancel the statement and rewrite the entire statement. For example, Karl Marx was a dash philosopher. In case if you have written Russian, well, that's a wrong answer. So cancel the statement and write Karl Marx was a German philosopher. For fill in the blanks, you're supposed to read all the textual fill in the blanks as well as extra fill in the blanks. The next question is question number 1B, match the columns. It carries 3 marks. Match the columns is based on personality, nationality, personality, position, personality, political party, personality, achievement, place, and importance. Draw a table and write the answers. Let me give you an example. Dr. Sun Yat-sen, he belonged to which party? Kuomintang party. Yet another example, Adolf Hitler belonged to Nazi party. Benito Mussolini, he belonged to fascist party. Kemal Pasha, People's Party. Trygve Lie, what was the position that he was occupying? Well, he was the first Secretary General of United Nations Organization. And the third one, Vijay Bhatkar, India's first supercomputer. That's personality and achievement. So for match the columns, again you're supposed to read all the chapters. Let's move on to question number 2, that is, answer each of the following questions in 25 to 30 words. You have to attempt any 2 questions out of 3. It carries 4 marks. Attempt the answers you know best. Answer must be in 4 points only. Underline the keywords like names, dates, places, terms with HB pencil. Write the dates only if you are sure about them. For example, if you are given the question, why did the British pay attention to Indian politics? You are going to write this answer in 4 points and thereafter you are going to underline the names, dates, places and terms. For example, in this answer, we'll underline the year 1600, Badshah Jahangir, Badshah Aurangzeb, and we can see one more date in the answer, that is 1615, and the place Surat as well. So this is what you're going to bear in mind while attempting this particular question. The question in this section can be categorized as under definition based. You can be asked the definitions. For example, what is imperialism? What is economic imperialism? Explain the term aggressive nationalism. Define Cold War. What is science? What is technology? Define globalization. Yet another category based on uses. You can be asked the uses of satellites or atomic energy. Based on policies or principles. Write the foreign policy of Bismarck. What were the principles of Nazism? What were the principles of fascism? Explain Lenin's new economic policy. Now, Lenin's new economic policy is a question of 3 marks, but the same question can be asked for 2 marks. When it is asked for 2 marks, we are supposed to incorporate all the points but present the answer in 4 points and not 6 points. So, based on the question, you are going to attempt the answer. The next category is based on objectives. You can be asked the objectives of League of Nations or else United Nations Organization. Read all the chapters. The next question is give reasons. Here again, you're supposed to write any 2 answers out of 3. It carries 4 marks. Attempt the answers you know best. Answers must be in 4 points. Underline the keywords. Let us take few examples. Africa was known as dark continent. You have a place and you have the description of that place. Similarly, questions can be based on personalities and their descriptions. For example, Sun Yat-sen was called the father of China, or else Kemal Pasha was called Ataturk. The next question, the Portuguese couldn't set up their empire in India. The democratic experiment in Russia failed. The League of Nations was unable to restrain the warring nations, or the League of Nations failed. Now, Mahatma Gandhi withdrew the non-cooperation movement. Now, if you see questions 2, 3, 4 and 5, they are all based on drawbacks or failures. So, such questions are usually asked in the board examinations that highlight the drawbacks or failures of a particular organization or failure or inability of a person. The next one, this is based on achievement. The works of UNO are praiseworthy. Yet another important episode in world history. So based on world wars, you can be asked any of the incidents from world wars. On 6th of April 1917, America declared war against Germany. Or you can be asked a question from World War II, America bombed Japan. The 8th one, the underdeveloped and developing nations are in the clutches of globalization. So go through all these questions thoroughly. Read all the chapters. Learn all the 2-mark questions beginning with why. This can also be asked as give reasons. The next question, question number 4, answer each of the following questions in 40 to 50 words. Attempt any 2 out of 3. This question carries 6 marks. You must attempt the answers you know best. Answers must be in 6 points only. Underline the keywords. A 4-mark question, that is 60 to 80 words, can be asked for 3 marks. The questions in this category or the questions in these sections are based on these categories. The first one is a philosophy based. The communist philosophy of Karl Marx, based on treaties. Kanagawa Treaty, Nanking Treaty, NATO, Seattle and Warsaw. These treaties are important. Now, if you see Nanking Treaty or the Nanjing Treaty is a 4-mark question, but it can be asked for 3 marks. When it is asked for 3 marks, you're going to write the answers in 6 points. Event-based questions. There are a lot of events in our syllabus. You can be asked any of these events like Opium Wars, Bloody Sunday, Jallianwala Bagh Massacre, Division of Bengal and Indian Moon Expedition. The fourth category is based on achievements, the social work of League of Nations, social and educational works of United Nations Organization. And the last category is based on disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of globalization? So remember all these categories: philosophy-based questions, questions based on treaties, event-based questions, questions based on achievements as well as failures can be asked in this section. Let's move on to the next question, question number 5. Answer each of the following questions in 60 to 80 words. You have to attempt any 2 out of 3 and the questions carry 8 marks. That is 4 marks have been allotted for each question. Attempt the answers you know best. Answers must have introduction, subheadings and conclusion. You can write the answers in 8 points. In case the answer does not have 8 points, then 5 points are enough, but you ought to write subheadings with detailed explanation. So in case if subheadings are there, you are supposed to write 5 subheadings with the detailed explanation. In case subheadings are not there in the answer, then the answer must be in 8 points. In simple words, remember, you are supposed to cover all the aspects of an answer. Underline the keywords. Now this particular question has got the following categories. It's based on effects. For example, constructive effects of imperialism, effects of World War I, effects of World War II, effects of Cold War, significance of Russian Revolution. The next category is based on contribution of leaders or organizations. You can be asked Hitler's internal policy, Lenin's contribution to Russian Revolution, contribution of moderates and extremists in India's freedom struggle, Kemal Pasha's development policy, political work of League of Nations. And last but not the least, category is based on causes of historical events. For example, causes of World War I, causes of World War II, causes of Cold War. You can be even asked the reasons for imperialism, causes of imperialism. So remember the categories. Students, you're supposed to do all these answers thoroughly based on effects, based on contribution of leaders or organizations, and based on causes of historical events. Let's move on to the next section, that is extra questions. Are we supposed to learn the extra question answers? There are a few questions that needs your attention. You have to go through these question answers. Explain the cutting of the Chinese melon or the Chinese watermelon. Why is Sun Yat-sen called the father of China? Why was Kemal Pasha called Ataturk? And explain Hitler's Nazism in detail. Just go through these answers. They can be asked in the exam. Let's move on to the next section, that is political science. We'll begin with the weightage of the chapters. The 5th chapter, that is democracy, carries 3 marks. Marks with options is 4. The next chapter, chapter number 6, political parties, carries 2 marks. Marks with options 4. The 7th chapter, democracy and diversity, carries 3 marks and the marks with options is 4. And the last chapter, challenges to democracy, carries 4 marks and marks with options is 6. The very first question in political science section is fill in the blanks with a suitable word from those given in the brackets. It carries 3 marks. Write the statement and underline the blanks. You are supposed to read the textual as well as extra fill in the blanks. Question number 7, answer the following questions in 1 sentence each. Attempt any 3 out of 5. This carries 3 marks. You are supposed to write the answer only in 1 sentence. Question number 8, state whether the following statements are true or false with reasons. Attempt any 2 out of 3. It carries 4 marks. Even if the statement is true, you are supposed to give a reason. So for writing true or false, you get 1 mark, and for writing the reason, you get another mark. The reason must be written in 2 points. For example, there is presidential democracy in India. The above statement is false, and then you have to support your answer with 2 reasons, 2 statements. The very first being, there is parliamentary democracy in India, whereas presidential democracy exists in USA and France. And the second statement should be, in India, president is the constitutional head, but the real powers are with the prime minister. The next question is, attempt any one of the following questions in 25 to 30 words each. It carries 2 marks. So you have to attempt any one out of 2. It is advisable, students, to learn any 3 chapters. All the textual question answers from chapter 5, 6 and 8. You can skip one chapter over here. So it's advisable to learn the textual answers of any 3 chapters. Also avoid personal response questions. For example, in this particular question, you can be asked personal response questions like, my mom and dad discuss about inflation or rising prices. Is that political participation? Don't attempt such questions. Yet another example, in the light of the chapter Democracy and Diversity, try to answer the question, who are you? Now, such questions need not be attempted in the exams. Let's move on to the next part, that is time management. That's a very crucial factor while writing the board paper. Question number 1 and B, 7 minutes. Question number 2, 25 to 30 words, any 2 out of 3. Try to complete this in 12 minutes. Question number 3, give reasons, any 2 out of 3, 12 minutes. Question number 4, 40 to 50 words, any 2 out of 3, 25 minutes. The long answers, any 2 out of 3, 35 minutes. Question number 6, political science, objectives, 3 minutes. Question number 7, 1 sentence, answer in 1 sentence, 5 minutes. Question number 8, true or false with reasons, 6 minutes. And the last question, 25 to 30 words, any 1 out of 2, 5 minutes. This all adds up to 110 minutes. So you've got 10 minutes extra. You can go through the entire paper and make the necessary corrections if required. How to prepare for the big day? First, finish off political science so that you'll be prepared for 12 marks. So finish off all the chapters of political science. Then you can move on to 3-mark answers of history. Finish off all the 3-mark answers of history. Then give reasons of all the chapters of history, followed by 25 to 30 words. And finally, you will take the long answers. Then move on to objectives. Read the dates of all the chapters of history. I hope all these instructions will surely help you to pass off with flying colors. Wishing you all the best. I sign off. Take care.